in our previous lectures we have discussed about some exact solutions of Navier-Stokes equation for steady flow. However, there are many interesting problems where the flow is actually unsteady. In practice, all problems are unsteady. However, as a theoretical measure, we consider in many cases the steady state solution of the problem, because the transients or the time over which the flow remains unsteady may be very short as compared to the overall time scale of the problem. However, because of the intrinsic unsteadiness in many practical situations, it is very interesting to study the time dependent dynamics of viscous flows. Most such problems do not have analytical solution, therefore, it is not possible to deal with that in a analytical framework within the purview of this particular course. However, there are a couple of very interesting problems which in any advanced level course of fluid mechanics are essentially included, and we will consider those two problems. Those are Stokes' first problem and Stokes' second problem. So, Stokes' first problem. You have a solid boundary which is a plate, and there is an infinite fluid on one side of the solid boundary. So, let us say there is some fluid here. Okay. This plate, so this fluid is initially stationary. So, we can say that if this is the y coordinate, then at time equal to 0 u is equal to 0 for all y. Where u is the x component of velocity, this is the x axis. In fact, for all y, x, etc. If it is a 3-dimensional problem, then z also comes into the picture, etc. However, suddenly this plate is pulled towards the right, with right or left is a matter of choice. So, let us for example take the right direction with a velocity u naught. When this is done, then this plate by viscous action will try to drag the fluid along with it. So, now the plate is moving. So, because of no slip boundary condition, the interface between the fluid and the plate, this interface will be dragged. However, the fluid far stream from the solid boundary will not understand the effect of this pulling, but there will be a critical distance which is called a Stokes layer, within which the fluid will feel the effect of pulling of this plate. How will it feel? There is a messenger in the fluid which propagates the message of the movement of this plate and transmits that through this fluid. This messenger is known as the viscosity of the fluid. We will see in this example or in this problem that it is not the viscosity of the problem alone that governs the behavior, but the kinematic viscosity. And why kinematic viscosity is important in this case, that also we will discuss. So, our objective will be to find out that when this plate is pulled towards the right, how the velocity within this flow field will vary with position and time. So, the initial condition, so the boundary condition for this problem is at t greater than 0, u equal to u0 at y equal to 0, and other end is open ended. So, first of all let us try to write a governing differential equation for this problem. So, we assume that it is a 2-dimensional incompressible flow with no other artifacts like extra body force is not important, there is no effect other than pulling of this plate. So, you have rho del u del t plus u del u del x plus v del u del y we also assume that the viscosity is constant and of course there is no pressure gradient. This is open to atmosphere. Because the entire plate is traced at a uniform velocity along x, so there is a translational invariance to this problem. Because there is a translational invariance to this problem, you have u not a function of x. And because it is a 2-dimensional incompressible flow, so you can write the continuity equation as this. So, because u is not a function of x, you have this equal to 0, that means v is not a function of y. And because v is not a function of y, whatever v you can find at some particular value of y, that value of v remains true for all values of y. So, we can say that v is equal to 0 at y equal to 0, this implies that v is equal to 0 for all y. Okay. So, if you put v equal to 0 for all y, and because u is not a function of x, this will be 0. So, your governing equation boils down to So, now we can see that the parameter that matters is mu by rho, which is the kinematic viscosity nu. Let us keep the schematic of the physical problem here. So, the big question is why this nu important and not just mu or not just rho. So, physically mu is what? We have just discussed that it is a messenger of the momentum disturbance in the fluid. In this case, the momentum disturbance is created by the motion of the plate, but the fluid has its own inertia. It may not try to respond to the inertia, respond to the momentum disturbance. So, this case is very analogous to something that, let us say that I mean there is a very active student who wakes up his other friends early in the morning to urge them to attend classes. So, the student goes to the dorms or hostels, and then I mean this student actually stays in a dorm or a hostel, and he has other neighbors who are also studying in the same university or institute, and this student is trying to wake up everybody and says that let us go to the class, let us attend the class. But the student who is sleeping has his or her own inertia, that student does not want to get up. So, it is not a question of propagating the momentum disturbance, there is some inherent tendency to sustain the original momentum, and that is governed by the inertia, and the inertia is related to the mass, which is related to the density. So, mu by rho is the relative ability to propagate momentum disturbance with respect to the tendency to sustain its original momentum, and that is what is essentially important. Now, when you have this particular expression, now the question is how do we solve this equation given the initial and the boundary condition. Now, a beauty of this type of problem is that this problem does not have any natural length scale, it does not have any natural time scale. So, sorry, I have made a mistake in the statement, the problem does not have any imposed length scale and it does not have any imposed time scale. So, what do we mean by this? So, imposed length scale means, see how can you get an imposed length scale? If you could have a solid boundary at the top, a solid boundary at the top means there would be an imposed length scale which is the height between the two plates. If there is a frequency at which the plate is oscillated, we will see that problem as a Stokes second problem, then there is an imposed time scale. However, here there is no imposed length scale and no imposed time scale, and for such problems you have a technique called as similarity solution technique that is applicable. We have to keep in mind that you can break this constraint by putting a solid boundary at the top, then there will be an imposed length scale, or you could make this velocity at the boundary as a function of time, and then you could impose a time scale, and then actually you will not have the solution amenable to similarity solution. So, what is the similarity solution? So, let us say that we want to solve u by u0 as a function of a variable which is a combination of y and t. If it is a separable and unique combination of y and t, then we call that solution amenable to similarity. So this is, so that combination of y by t we can write as a normalized y. So this is not an imposed length scale, this is the length scale which physically evolves, and this length scale is actually a naturally evolving length scale which is itself a function of the time scale. How it is possible? See, if you do an order of magnitude of this, this is u0 by the time scale, and this is of the order of nu u0 by the length scale square, where delta is the length scale of the problem. So because the transient effect or the inertial effect here is going to balance the viscous effect, so if you just equate these two scales, you will see that delta will scale with square root of nu t. So you can see that this is a length scale. So at a time t, so this physically what does this scale mean? That at a time t, how far from the wall the effect of the wall will be diffused. Okay. So that is of course related to the kinematic viscosity. So if you allow more time, you will see more distance from the wall at which the fluid will understand the effect that the wall has moved, but that effect will penetrate more if the kinematic viscosity of the fluid is more at a given time. Okay. So now if you give this name as y by delta as eta, so this is f eta, where eta is the similarity variable. Mathematically we can write it eta is equal to y into a function of t. Why a function of t? See, delta is a function of t, and 1 by delta you can write scales with gt. So it need not be exactly 1 by delta equal to jt, but you know it scales with gt. So this physical way of interpreting the situation is an equivalent mathematical way of converting the partial differential equation into an ordinary differential equation. So how it is done? So you can write in place of u equal to write u0 into f. So this is write u0 df d eta then so let us write this u0 df d eta. What is partial derivative of eta with respect to t? Y into g dash, and what is this? This is u0 partial derivative of eta with respect to y is g. So u0 df d eta into g. So its second derivative this will be u0 d2f d eta 2. So you make it d eta of this into del eta del y, there will be another g coming up, so this will become g square. So this equation will boil down to So, u0 df d eta y g dash is equal to u0 d2 f d eta 2 g square. This term is equal to this term. So, I will erase the remaining part. In place of y, we can write what? So, you can write eta is equal to y into g. So, in place of y you can write eta by g. So, u0 gets cancelled. So, you have d2f d eta 2 by eta df d eta is equal to g dash by g cube. This equation is very interesting because this is a function of eta only, this is a function of t only, right. So, a function of eta only is equal to a function of t only when each is a constant. Is equal to c, say. So, what is the form of c? To assess that, we try to solve this equation g dash by g cube is equal to c. So, g to the power minus 3 dg is equal to c dt. So, g to the power minus, there is a nu there, right, nu g dash, there is a nu here, I have somehow forgotten to write nu here because this nu is here, that nu has to be there. So, this will be g dash by nu g cube. So, this becomes nu, this becomes nu. So, you have g to the power minus 2 by minus 2 is equal to nu c t plus c1. What is the value of c1 at t equal to 0? What is g? Remember, g is scales with 1 by delta. So, at time equal to 0, what is the penetration depth of the effect of movement of the plate? The plate movement has just started, right. So, it has not propagated, the effect has not propagated into the fluid at all. That means, at time equal to 0, you have delta tends to 0, that means g will tend to infinity. So, at t tends to 0, g tends to infinity, that means c1 equal to 0. So, we can write g is 1 by, or g is equal to 1 by minus 2 nu c t square root of that. See, now very interesting thing, from this mathematical analysis we get the same scale of delta. Delta, remember what is the scale? Square root of nu t. See the scale, square root of nu t, this c and all these things, these are just constants. So, the correct scale of delta evolves from the equation itself, but from the physical intuition you can a priori understand what is the scale without getting into this mathematical, but this prefactor can be calculated only through rigorous mathematical analysis. Next question is, what is the value of c? So, the value of C, it depends, I mean it is up to you. For example, you have a ratio proportion problem, A by B equal to C by D equal to K, that K it is up to you to choose, but in this particular case you have to choose in such a way that C has to be negative, because under root it has to be positive. So, C must be negative. So, you can take any negative number. For an example, you can take C is equal to, C must be negative, that is the requirement. Example, you can take C is equal to -2, it is not a must, but it is convenient because then you know this 2 comes out of the square root. So, then you will get as 1 by 2 root nu t. So, if you take C equal to C equal to -2, then from this equation you will get d2f d eta 2 plus 2 eta df d eta is equal to 0. So, now you can just switch a variable, say let z is equal to df d eta. So, you will write dz d eta plus 2 eta z is equal to 0. So, you can write dz by z is equal to -2 eta d eta. So, ln z is equal to minus eta square plus say ln C2. So, z is equal to C2 e to the power minus eta square. So, z is nothing but df d eta. So, f is equal to C2 integral 0 to eta e to the power minus eta square d eta plus C3. Now, how do you get C2 and C3? So, first of all you recall that u by u0 is f. So, at y is equal to 0, which is equivalent to eta is equal to 0, you have u equal to u0, that is f equal to 1. This is one boundary condition. So, at eta equal to 0, if you put f equal to 1, that means you will get C3 equal to 1, and the second boundary condition is at y tends to infinity or eta tends to infinity, f equal to 0, because at far stream from the plate, at far away from the plate, there technically you have 0 velocity. So, you will get 0 is equal to C2 integral 0 to infinity e to the power minus eta square d eta plus 1. So, now you can write, substitute say eta square is equal to something, let eta square is equal to some w. So, eta is equal to w to the power half. So, d eta is half w to the power half minus 1 dw. So, the integral will be C2 half integral e to the power minus w to the power half minus 1 dw, again 0 to infinity. This by definition is the gamma function of half. right. This is the definition of gamma function, e to the power minus w into w to the power n minus 1 dw 0 to infinity is gamma n, here n is equal to half, and value of gamma half is root pi. So, C2 root pi by 2 plus 1. So, that means C2 is minus 2 by root pi. So, if that be the case, then this equation will result in, or this equation rather will result in f is equal to 1 minus 2 by root pi 0 to eta e to the power minus eta square d eta. So, this by definition is called as error function of eta. So, this is the solution of the problem where eta is equal to y by 2 root over nu t and f is u by u0. This is also known as complementary error function or ERFC eta. Now, the interesting question is, if we plot this result in a graph, how will it look like? If we plot this result in a graph, in the physical space how will the graph look? Let us say you have u versus y. So, physically, so this is u0, so this is at a time t1, at a time t2 the penetration depth will be more, so it will be t2 greater than t1, in this way it will grow. Interestingly, all these characteristics when normalized in this way will be collapsing into a master curve like this. So, if you plot y by square root of nu t as a variable and u by u0 as a variable, then all these plots will essentially collapse into a single master curve. This is 1, because at y equal to 0 u equal to u0, and this value let me quickly check, this value will be close to, very close to 2, this is around 2, but for all practical purposes what, so this is y by this one, sorry, y by 2 into square root of nu t, that is the variable. So, now this value where it is almost asymptotically 0, this value is, that is almost asymptotically 0, as an engineer you must quantify it. So, let us say this is 0.05, so within 5% of the free stream value. So, then this is about 1.38. So, this you can physically define your Stokes boundary layer or delta. So, you can say delta by 2 square root of nu t is equal to 1.38 for all practical purposes. That means, delta is equal to 2.76 square root of nu t. So, at a given time the distance from the wall up to which the momentum disturbance due to movement of the plate is felt is roughly this one. But except for this prefactor which comes from the solution of the differential equation, this scaling can be just obtained from one step of the differential equation, and that essentially governs the physics of the problem, that the penetration depth scales with square root of nu t. With this particular message we stop here for this lecture. In the next lecture we will discuss about the Stokes' second problem.